Good morning, everybody. It's me. I know I've not done a podcast here in ages, mainly because I've just flat out not been in the mood to do any podcast because it's just been not exactly fun to be little old me lately. So I apologize for that. Um, it's one of those things that the older you get, the less energy you have. And you have all these great plans, and yet you don't have the energy to do them. So that is sort of my little thing right now, is that I have a lot of things I'd like to do, but the energy ain't there. So, yeah, I turned 50 on Saturday, and I'm not exactly looking forward to it because this means I'm getting older. I've seen a lot in 50 years. A lot of neat stuff, a lot of not so neat stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on that, Marvel rolled out their Phase 4 stuff, their dates and whatnot. I'm not a huge Marvel person, to be honest with you. I've never really seen the movies, save for one here, one there. I'm just not big into superheroes. I never have been. I kind of would like to, because I did like the Civil War movie, the Avengers Civil War movie, and the Doctor Strange movie. I'm weird in the fact that I like science fiction, but I don't like stuff that I can't suspend disbelief. That's why I'm not a big Star Wars fan, because Star Wars, to me, in all honesty, I can't get behind, because it's somehow or another, I can't buy into it. I can't get lost into it, because it's so far out there that I just don't really, I hate to say it, it just doesn't really work for me. And Star Trek, to a certain degree, is like that as well. The only Star Trek show I've ever really gotten into is Deep Space Nine. I mean, hardcore. I like Next Generation, but that was because at the time, that was the only one that was actually fairly decent. And looking back at it, later seasons of Next Generation were pretty good. The first two were god-awful because they were, let's just say, bad. Bad. Not all of them were bad. You don't stick around 7 years by being bad. They were actually pretty good at times, but they were using some techniques. They were using outdoor scenes, making indoor scenes. Basically, they're doing what the original series used to do, that you could get away with, because back then people kind of realized, hey, it's pretty expensive to film outdoors, so we're going to do these alien scenes indoors. Well, they did it in the 80s, and people were a lot smarter, and they didn't buy it as much. So, which is part of the reason why I'm never a big fan of the first couple of seasons of Next Generation. And I'll be honest with you, the only reason I stuck around was I had a crush on Marina Sirtis. That's pretty much it, except the hair. They finally got it right in the movies, by the way. They finally got her right in the movies, by the way. I'll say that much. Of course, if you've known this show for any length of time, you know my favorite TV series is Babylon 5, which to me hit the nail on the head when it comes to what a TV show really should be about, sci-fi wise. There's an interesting article that I should have put in the description that talked about how it's secretly the most influential TV series in the last 25 years, I'd say 3 decades. The main reason for that is, up until Babylon 5 came along, television was primarily about episodic television, which basically means that you put out a TV show and a drama, an hour-long drama, and the characters pretty much stay the same because the networks want to run it whenever in any order they'd like. The stories are all self-contained. You know, you got the hero guy, you got the supporting guy or gal, you got supporting cast and all that, and they pretty much stay the same. Very rarely did you have the arcs, and it was mainly soap operas, like Dallas and Dynasty. So Babylon 5 wasn't entirely breaking huge, gigantic ground in this, but it was something that was only mainly in soap operas, both in prime time, like I said, Dallas and Dynasty, and Falcon Crest and Knots Landing and such, where you did have a continuing storyline. So it wasn't like this wasn't anything brand new, but it wasn't the overall arcing storylines. Basically, they were not they basically didn't have a plan from beginning to end. Pure and simple. They didn't. And the whole point of the shows were to continue the story, keep the show going as long as possible, to keep getting it renewed. Dallas, I think, lasted well over a decade, from the late 70s into the early 90s. Dynasty lasted for most of the 80s. I can't remember if it ended in the 90s, went in the 90s. So, and Knots Landing went well into the 90s. But then that became passé. Soap operas pretty much have become passé because they were designed at a specific audience. But space operas, all of a sudden, have become the thing. Or at least to a certain degree. You've got a lot of pretty good science fiction out there. The Expanse, you've got some other stuff out there that's hit or miss. But what Babylon 5 did, it brought the overall arc, where you have a very intricately planned TV show from beginning to end, or at least for the season. Now, the biggest difference between B5 and the primetime soaps I mentioned earlier was that the intricate planning. In the soaps, they really didn't have the intricate plans. Now, there were some, like with when Bobby Ewing died, but that kind of killed it when at the end of the season Bobby Ewing showed back up, and the whole season seemed to be that kind of killed that show for a lot of people. Not enough to get it canceled, but but it kind of killed the show. In the TV industry, it's called jumping the shark. Google it. You'll laugh about why it's literally. I'll go ahead and explain it. There used to be a show called Happy Days. It was a show based in the 50s that aired in the 70s. And basically the main character is a guy by the name of the Fonz, who was this cool guy in this Wisconsin town, Milwaukee. And basically they decide he's doing a water skiing thing, and he literally jumps the shark. Pretty soon after the show was canceled. Now, Babylon 5 did a lot of great things. It also showed that you could have a show that have a beginning, and middle, and end. And it ended after 5 seasons. Now, for those of us who know the story, it almost ended after 4, but then Turner Network Television came in at the last hour, and they did get the 5th season, and it was okay. The end was better than the beginning of the 5th season. Well, we all know that. And I've probably gone into that at least once or twice on this podcast. And I know I've talked about in the past doing an episode-by-episode watch-along. I don't know if I'll really do that because, like I said, I don't have the energy. I may do it from time to time. I may devote it. I may just decide to do it once a week. I don't know. I'd love to, but it's just the energy. And there's so much going on. I got so much that I want to do, but I don't have the energy. So I'd really love to hit the lottery. That reminds me, I need to go by the store to pick up I think it's a Mega Millions ticket that's up to $370 million. I have a rule that I don't buy a lottery ticket until it's over $250 million. And the reason for that is it keeps me from, because I've seen a lot of people buy those dollar off scratch offs. I mean, literally, they will be addicted to it and, buy those pick 3, pick 4, pick 5. And I understand, some people you can win. I think you win enough to where they keep you hooked into it. Here's the thing. And I know I'm going off on a tangent again. My mom was very much anti-gambling. She really hated the idea of a lottery. She had a very good reason for it. It can really feed into someone with an addictive personality. And my father was an alcoholic. My mom was addicted to cigarettes. I'd probably have an addictive personality. And I do with food. I know that much. So I decided to implement that rule. It used to be, when it first started, $100 million. Then they changed it to where they hit $100 million more frequently, so I moved it up to $200 million. Now it's $250 million. And the reason for that is simple. It keeps me from wasting money on it. I figure if I'm going to win it, it'll be one ticket. Let them pick the numbers randomly and see what happens. If I win, great. If I don't, when am I really out? Price of a soda. And I buy one ticket. That's it. No multiples, no going in with a bunch of different people. Just me, myself, and I. And that's it. If I win, great. If I don't, why am I really out? But back to sci-fi. Speaking of Babylon 5, I found on eBay really cheap, surprisingly. Not cheap, but the In Valen's Name comics for Babylon 5. They've been out for about 25 years or so. I need to read them. And this has gotten me thinking about this. Why is it about Warner Brothers? Are they that mad at Joe Straczynski? Is this a political thing where they're just mad at Joe Straczynski because he didn't play ball their way? That they've got a franchise that could potentially be every bit as good as Star Trek and Star Wars, in my opinion. It may never have the popularity of Star Trek and Star Wars, but it could give you a proven franchise that could make you a lot of money. I don't know why that is. So the only thing I can think of from reading it is there's a huge beef between Joe Straczynski, the creator of Babylon 5, and some people at Warner Brothers in the division that holds the TV rights to Babylon 5. Warner Brothers is now owned by AT&T. AT&T, and I think owns HBO Max. They need content. They need content that will bring in eyes. They do have Babylon 5 in reruns on HBO Max. You can watch it there. In my humble opinion, it's a show that deserves to have something done with it. Now, we're talking reboot. That's where you get into the controversy with the fans, because I'm a part of about 2 or 3 different Facebook groups. And every time the topic gets mentioned, you have a very vocal group, whether it's majority or minority, I would say maybe majority, because it is, who think you should not touch it. The show is not perfect, though. There are some people who think it's perfect. It's a great, fantastic show, but it's far from perfect. And I'll be the first to admit I'm a huge fan of the show. The acting sometimes is a bit wooden. They had to rush. They had a very tight, compact schedule. And sometimes they would have to do scenes just for the fact of doing scenes. You know. And there are some flaws in it. There are a lot of great moments. A lot of great acting performances. But there are weaknesses to the show. The special effects are dated. But the whole concept is still very solid. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. You could take all those scripts. You might want to work on the first season scripts. There are some things you could do better there. But second season on, as long as you keep the basic storyline going for the first season, you can make it's pretty much a remakeable show right there. I mean, you wouldn't have to change anything. The problem is, of course, somebody would want to change it. Because it's Hollywood. People want to have their stamp on it. So there is that. Now, I just want to get on here to talk a little bit because I've been dealing with some depression and all that. And just fatigue. It's been kind of hard. I had grand plans for this. I'm going to still do this from time to time, but I'm not making any money on this. So it's not completely going to go away. It's just whenever I feel like making a podcast, I'll make a podcast. There are some shows I really like to get into. I need to get into The Expanse. I need to get into For All Mankind and all of this. It's just, to be honest with you, when I start thinking about doing a binge, I don't know if I want to sit there and watch the same damn show all the time. I'm weird like that. So what I'm going to do with this is just whenever a topic pops in my head, I'll come on here like I always do and just talk. I don't do really a lot of preparation on it and all this, so and if I do a watch along, I'll probably just do like I'm doing right now, just talk and give you my impressions of what I'm watching. So there is that. Anyhow, I'm going to get off here and start my day because I woke up probably 40 minutes ago. I hadn't even had a shower yet. I'm fresh as a daisy that's been dead for like 10 weeks. Oh, ain't I such a shiny personality? Anyhow, I just want to get on here to chat a little bit, to put a podcast here, so that you all know that I'm actually alive. He's alive. Oh, jeez, he's alive. Why couldn't he just kick the bucket already? Oh, by the way, if you hadn't gotten vaccinated, please do so. We need to get this stuff beat. I'm tired of it. I want this stuff gone. I'm tired of the people complaining about it. I want this gone so people stop bitching about masks and vaccines and throwing conspiracy theories and all that BS. I'm sure you are too. You know, and I think sometime the next day or two I'm going to launch a podcast on my other, I'll launch an episode on my other show, John Thomas Hill Show, where I talk about some of the lessons I've learned from this pandemic about this country. And it's not going to be a rosy thing. So anyhow, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope to talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.